Okay, we got this.
Okay, how am I doing over here?
Perfect.
Good? I know that.
Who we got running camera? Hey, it's Richard again. I know, right? It was fun to have Austin and his father and Doug and Jeff Meyer here tonight.
Dudes.
It was awesome. All right, guys, we've done this 1,000 times. Actually, we've done this many times.
Yep.
Let's have some fun tonight because there's a lot of cool shows coming up and things to talk about. I'm really looking forward to this summer. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Give us a countdown, Richard. I think we're going to do this.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you.
These are anyway.
And by GL Robotics, with over 61 colors of 3D printing filaments in stock, your gateway to new technology. Check out their website at glroboticsusa.com. Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975. Additional support is provided by Spring Creek Model Trains, your destination for model trains. Stop in and say, wow. Check out their website at springcreekmodeltrains.com.
Additional support is provided by Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. Check them out. Their website is ohrtracksupply.com. Additional support is provided by Yelsma Graphics, America's leading distributor of quality railroad art and embroidered clothing since 1985. Check out their website at yelsma.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week show in model railroading, show number 237 for June 10th. 2023. I'm the host of the Model Railroad Show over there at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine called What's Neat. And thank you very much for all the patronage and the folks that have been watching that shows. The numbers are really good. You guys really love watching us build stuff, and that's what you're going to get for the next many, many months to come. Tonight we've got a lot of wonderful people at the table and somebody that drove all the way down from Wisconsin today. Starting on this end, I'm going to start with Mike Budde. Hey, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
Mike's got a lot of cool 3D stuff to talk about tonight, as does James Regier. Sitting right next to me, I've got Jeff Otto from Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. As you'll recall, if you've seen our shows, and a lot of people have watched every one of them, Jeff was the very first person that helped us promote the hobby. He used to buy us pizzas every Saturday night, every month.
I'm glad I could do it, Ken.
And it was awesome.
It was worth it, yeah.
Sitting right next to Jeff, I've got my favorite, James Regier.
Hi, everybody.
And James has also got a lot of neat stuff tonight, all 3D printed. I'm telling you what, the 3D printers are all the rage these days. Yep. And we like to thank very much GL Robotics for helping us promote the hobby. Thank you very much. Also, we've got the Spring Creek show coming up here July 8th and 9th. We were going to have Mike on the show tonight, but that's got rescheduled until next week. We look forward to talking to Mike Zucker down there at Spring Creek Model Trains in Desler, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And some of the guys have been up there. In fact, somebody emailed me this week and told me that they watched our show, and then when they were passing through Nebraska, they went right straight to the store and found it.
Perfect.
And that was really neat to hear that.
Yeah.
Also, we've got the show coming up, the RPM meet here in St. Louis, July 28th and 29th. That's going to be a really fun show. This week, Denny Yelsma from Yelsma Graphics sent us 2 cases of What's Neat hats. We've got yellow ones, we've got red ones with the What's Neat logo on them to give out at the show to all the wonderful folks that we meet. So with that, I am going to actually hand this show directly over to Jeff Otto and the boys, because Jeff, as you know, makes some of the most realistic track detail parts to make your track absolutely look amazing. And in fact, I know one manufacturer, a very close friend that started a company not too long ago that's going to be using Jeff's track work to shoot all of his pre-production models and ads for the model railroad industry.
Nice.
So I look forward to seeing how that all turns out. I'm sure it will be beautiful. So Jeff, why don't you tell us about what it is you do? And you have changed since you started advertising with us. Things have changed. You've gotten more detailed and more finite.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, great to be here. So we're really excited about a lot of the new products coming out. Probably the first thing that I'm really excited about is tie plates. So on here I have a set of tie plates for heavy freight. There's 4 versions of straight track: heavy, medium, light, or branch line, and yard/industry. The biggest difference is the spacing in the ties.
Is that this?
Yep, that's that. Yep,
I want to hold this up because you showed this to me when you arrived today. And this is ingenious, the way this is designed. All the tie plates are already in place on a strip. And so you simply lay the strip under your track, under your rail, and it's all there to be had. Plus, this has got little ends on it that you can bend down and conduct electricity up through the rail through this. What a great idea.
That's right. And
it out.
also, since it's joint, you can model jointed rail or not jointed rail. You can't see it from the video, but there's little triangles here, 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 here. So between each triangle is where the joint would go on the rail.
39 feet.
So between here and here is 39 feet. There are some railroads did do 33 feet, which we'll be doing in the future, but I started with 39 foot because I thought that was most common.
You know why they did that? Because it fit on 40-foot flat cars.
Exactly. Right. Right. So we're really excited about this. And then another exciting thing that my partner Ed Dressel is championing is the ties. So these are CNC'd. They'll have little indentations, so the tie plate will literally sit down into the tie. It's self-gauges. And so all you have to do is pre-weather your ties, and then you can attach the rail to the tie plates, weather it, glue it down, you're done. So you can lay 16 inches of track in no time at all.
You buy this, and this becomes part of your roadbed, essentially.
This is the roadbed, right? This is 32 inches. We'll have various sections.
Okay.
16, 32, and eventually we'll have
And what's the
longer.
material you're CNCing it out of?
MDF.
Oh, okay.
And once you stain it and it's all sealed, so you don't have to worry about water damaging the MDF, because we all know MDF doesn't like water.
Okay.
So we've tested it and it works really, really well.
Is this a peel-off back?
No, it's not a peel-off
So it's
back.
a cardboard
So
underneath?
the sides are actually beveled.
Okay.
So that when you put the ballast on, you don't have to use as much ballast, and it naturally makes that nice bevel like a real railroad would.
Good job,
So we're
Ed
really
Dressel.
excited about this, and we're going to have this in every, not only straight track, also diamonds, turnouts, crossovers, center sidings, whatever, and you'll be able to actually make an entire layout at once, whether it be a yard. We're going to be able to model specific places. If you want to do Centralia yard, you can do a Centralia yard, whatever. It's the skies are really the limit. Another thing, these are actually going to be bendable. This is the first version that's not bendable, but we're going to make it so that you can make any curved straight turnout, and the ties will actually be bendable too to make whatever curve you want.
In the old days, during the Midwest Valley Modelers layout, when we hand laid our switch yard and our number 20 crossovers that we had done, it was absolutely beautiful code 70 rail on wooden ties. But we didn't have the plates.
Yeah.
What we would do is we would spike every, say, 10 or 12 or 14 ties, 2 spikes, right? And that was it. That's what we had. And when you looked at it, while the rail work looks smooth and beautiful with the trains running on it, it was missing something. It wasn't quite right.
Exactly. This is missing the tie plates. So this is the yard industry. This is the branch line or light. This is the medium. And this is the heavy freight. So you can see the difference between the heavy freight and the yard industry is the spacing in the ties. So as you can see in the tie, here's a joint, there's a joint, there's a joint, there's a joint. You just can't see it on the heavy. So with all the tie plates, it's going to look super real, super realistic, easy to build, fast to build. But what I'm really excited about also is the tie plates for turnouts. So this is a number 4. This is a number 5. This is a number 6. So the 6 is going to be first, and that I'll have at the St. Louis RPM. And the other thing too is the frog. So this is the third frog I got. This is a number 6 steel manganese frog. I also have a 12 bent rail frog, and then we also have 90-degree diamonds.
Okay,
But
I'm going
we
to hold
have-
this up. Richard, God, I pray, this is a challenge for you tonight, isn't it?
You'll have
Because
to
we're
do
moving
B-roll.
awfully fast
Yeah.
on this stuff.
And this is going to have, I have the design for the tie plates. Those
wow.
I'll have at least a mock-up, if not sellable versions for the RPM as well as the 6. All 4 versions of this. But what's really exciting is this will be milled out of wood, out of MDF, and you'll be able to just lay your tie plates down. The frogs
Right in that groove.
are already gapped, ready to go, super detailed. And then another couple of things we're working on are actual throw bars and 3-way plane points. So I think it's going to change the game. And you can tell the difference between the number 6 with the actual real frog and a traditional number 5 bent rail, which is made by filing the rails and putting it in. So it's, we're just super excited about it. My partner Ed Dressel has been helping with this. We're working together, and it was his idea for the feeder wire for the tie plates, which the turnouts are also going to have feeder wires all over the place, so you can power the frog easy and all the other rails, which is super exciting.
One more great way to hide that feeder wire.
Right, yeah. And you're not going to have to put a feeder up and attach to the side of the rail because your feeder's already going to be down.
That was
Right.
something that did not look good on our layout. In fact, the gentleman that owned the Cat Mountain and Santa Fe Railroad,
Oh, yeah.
Barrow.
David Barrow.
I remember one train show he came by, and he was very kind in that he wanted to point out to me a way to improve the layout. And what I would do is I'd pull the wire up from underneath through the homosote. I'd bend the wire, put it next to the rail, clamp it with tweezers, and then solder it.
Yeah.
So you had this great big chunk of solder and rail
Right.
on
On the
the
outside of the rail, yeah.
of the rail, right where people were looking at it. And he said, Ken, focus on that for a minute. In fact, photograph your model on it and look at it. And sure enough, man, it changed me. It changed the way we wanted to make the layout look. Thank you very much, Dave, for that tip. That was like 20 years ago.
Longer than that, I think.
Was it? That was a long time ago.
So in addition to the number 6 frog, the number 12, the 90, we're going to have 19-degree crossings, all sorts of other crossing angles. The number 5's ready to go. The number 8's ready to go. The number 10's ready to go. Number 16's ready to go. And there's different versions of frogs. You've got bent rail, which is also called rigid bolted rail. You've got steel manganese. You've got rail bound manganese. Eventually, we're going to have all versions of all of those in code 70, 83, eventually 100, and then probably 55 will be last.
Okay.
And then that's just HO scale. I'm also I'm working with Jay Criswell at Right Away for tie plates for O scale.
Nice.
So I'm developing those for him, for his modelers to do O scale. One little quick modeling tip is I use solder paste, and this is it. I'm going to have it available on my website, but it's super fast. I use a hot air soldering station, which Ken's talked about many times. But basically, you just put a little bead on the PC tie, and then you're done. But, however, this is going to be obsolete once we go to the 100% this, because there's not going to be any need for PC ties. It's all going to be attached to the tie plates, which you'll use this in a couple spots. Otherwise, you use glue, just so you have the electrical conductivity. So we're really excited about all the developments and the new products coming out. We continue to work on more and more. So
Now, how long does a tube of that last?
a tuba like this will last me a year at least or 2.
Okay.
That's a long time.
And it stays, it's like it comes out. I used to buy solder paste in a tube and I would put it in a syringe, but it would get hard. This stuff comes out like
Nice.
nothing.
I remember PBL used to sell that, and I used it to build a lot of brass structures. When I built that brass
Yeah.
railroad light tower that was 110 feet tall.
yeah.
It was in Rail Model Journal back in 1988. But that material, because it's liquid, and that's how Overland Models, in fact, built a lot of their models. Ogden in Korea used paste solder because you could see it. You can tell a paste solder joint, right? And you got to clean it up, but it works. It just works. It just works. Now, you've got a website where there's photographs, and I think you said Facebook. Tell them where they can see photographs of all this amazing stuff up close.
Yep. Thanks, Ken. So several places. Go to my website, www.ohrtracksupply.com. You can go to my Facebook page, Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply, or if you go on Instagram, it's Oak Hill Jeff. But you can also type hashtag Oak Hill, and all my posts will magically pop up.
Magic.
Yeah, and if anyone wants decals, just send me your address. I'll send you a decal of each for free.
Okay, these are pretty. We just put some on our door down here. I'm going to hold these up
And they are weatherproof.
for you, Richard, to shoot. Landon really likes the Illinois Central motif that you have.
Right. Well, I model Illinois Central. That's my railroad that I grew up with. So that's actually an Alco 636 that my designer Renzo built, drew into my logo. That's where they came from.
That's very cool.
And if you also look at my logo, you'll see there's some little geese flying here.
Yeah.
And that's just because I went on a trip to Saskatchewan and geese were involved, so we put that in there. So that's kind of an inside story. People are like, why are there geese in there? Well, there you go.
Yeah, geese and trains are okay. Geese and airplanes, not okay.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's not a joke, actually. That's bad.
Well, although, I mean, we got those 3D printed geese there, of course.
Yeah.
We have 3D printed geese
yeah.
tonight?
Yep,
Yes.
Canada geese.
Okay.
From
Are
we segueing to that?
Well,
Yeah,
it
it's
makes a good segue.
That is a good segue. I did that on purpose for you, Mike.
good. Bernard will appreciate
All
it.
right. Go ahead, Mike. Richard, good luck with zooming in on this stuff and shooting
Yeah, I'll
it.
just kind of go front to back.
Tell us
if I
where this
can.
is from. We got 2
Yeah.
boxes in
Now,
the
make
mail.
sure you got a license if you're going to shoot the geese, though,
Yeah.
and you're in season.
This is from Mini Prints. Bernard Helen sent us these things. He sends. It's called Mini Prints of the Month, and Ken gets a little pack each month. This is one set, and this is another set. But this first thing is a little train layout, which is pretty cool. It's
Oh, wow.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how many people have a hobby shop
Yeah.
on their layout?
Yeah.
And how many hobby shops have a model train running around the front
Right.
Yeah,
window?
I want one
Yeah.
of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's a 4x8 train layout.
sure is.
It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
got track
With
and
track.
It was
Buildings?
interesting. Bernard advertised them as being available in HON or O scale, I guess,
Yeah.
was it? And someone was like, okay, so how does HO scale and HO scale match up, or how does N scale and HO scale?
well, here's the answer right here.
Yeah.
What else you
then
got,
he's
Mike?
got some garden gnomes, which is something, a little modern touch for people's layouts. And then 3 different people here. I don't know who they are. I'm sure Bernard could clarify for us. But the more people Bernard scans, I guess the bigger
wider
his
the variety
portfolio
of mini
gets,
prints,
yeah. So
Well, and
these figures are really incredibly detailed. The faces, better than any plastic.
And he's going to be out here at the RPM meet
Right.
scanning people as well.
Right,
so.
right. 'Cause,
Oh,
he'll be
really?
here in
Scanning
July.
people?
Scanning people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So if you want to give him just a little bit of your soul,
I would love.
He can scan me anytime. That'd be cool.
It'd be
Freak
fantastic.
out my kids.
Yeah.
that's right.
Take
Yeah.
little models and set them on their nightstand. They wake up. Oh, what's the
Yeah.
guy doing here?
Bernard needs
That'd
to
be
come
fun.
here and scan people on the show and show us the process.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think he is going to be down here for the RPM. So he talked about maybe coming Thursday.
He's
the
planning
day
his trip
before.
for sure. Yeah.
What else we got, Mike?
The geese that James mentioned, they're like a couple with their heads down, and
I just worry about
Yeah.
having those geese on my layout. Geese always make such a huge mess
they do.
everywhere
You'd
they
have
go.
to-
Are you able to get the
Lisa.
geese, Richard? Yeah. Okay.
and some eagles, couple eagles, one with its wings spread, and then one just sitting, on a branch, I guess. And then here's one of my favorites, of course, is a derelict car. Looks like about a 90s vehicle, all stripped of body panels and tires and wheels. One of the seats is gone. This is a pretty cool thing. I'd like to see him do some like 60s and 70s cars.
Looks like the car that Ricky would drive around in Trailer Park Boys, really.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think you can drive this one unless you put
No,
wheels
yeah,
on
right.
it.
Well, looking at that car in Trailer Park Boys, you shouldn't be able to drive that one either.
Yeah.
But
And then another cool thing is an air compressor. This has a lot of uses. Construction scenes or just to detail a yard or put behind a truck.
Yeah.
It's a
Any
nice
heavy
little-
industry.
Right.
yeah,
Then a couple trash cans, which are perfect modern trash cans, like we all drag out to the curb. Paint those dark blue or dark green with a black top, and they'd look, just right.
Yes.
So those are very nice details.
and there's two of them, so you can even have your
The
little
one
mini
recycle,
figures sort their waste.
And then the last thing here is 5 wheel sets, HO scale wheel sets. Kind of a neat little detail you can put in a railroad yard or put on the back of a truck or something.
Yeah.
So
And their scale too. They fit right on the tracks.
Yeah,
perfect.
I tested them on
Yeah.
on Jeff's track here. They work perfect. So I couldn't even feel going through those frogs, man.
That's
cool.
right.
Yeah.
Smooth.
His frogs
And
are amazing.
The
with all
bolt
belts.
detail on these things, it just blows my mind. It's so detailed and scale. I mean, you can even see the bolt sticking out through the nut. That's wild, man.
Yeah, and
So
awesome.
actually, thanks so much, Mike. Everything I have is all based off from prototype drawings.
Sure.
That's where the spacing for the jointed rail comes in.
Yeah.
The diamonds are all designed from drawings.
Yeah.
We build it, draw it in full scale, and then we scale it down and
Yeah, these
make
crossing
modifications where we
it's
have
just,
to.
Just amazing. I mean, if you weathered that along with your track and ballasted and everything, it would look so realistic.
Thanks.
So anyway, okay, your turn, James.
All right. Well, so I've got a variety of 3D models. There's been a lot of people asking about these threshing machines and these steam tractors. The plan is to make them available eventually. We're making I'm in some talks so that hopefully we'll get them available with someone who's better at creating a storefront and doing that stuff than I. But in the meantime, if you want to email me, we can probably work something out through PayPal that I can get one printed and sent off. And I still have to develop instructions for these threshing machines, especially because they have all sorts of different size of pulleys that are actually separately applied parts that you sort of pressure fit onto pins that are already on the machine, and also so that the chaff spout and the grain spout are all posable,
Nice.
as well as the intake ramp there.
Now, do you have to put belts on those pulleys to be totally realistic, or? And if so,
Yeah.
what would you use?
Well, I've thought about using
Easy
Easy Line.
Yeah, that would probably work.
And in fact, for the
Belts.
RPM meet, assuming I get the beep done, which I'll talk about in a minute, but
Yeah.
I'll probably try and make a little foam module, with a hay wagon or something pulled up next to the threshing machine, and maybe somebody with a pitchfork loading it and that kind of thing, and with belts, to make it look like it's
Yeah.
How about automotive pinstriping?
automotive pinstriping. That might work.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess they do come in those tape rolls, don't they?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
very thin and
Yeah.
painted brown.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the belts, the actual belts, weren't they originally made out of heavy leather,
Leather,
or something?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Right.
And for the heavy belts, like would run between the tractor and the thresher.
Right.
I've already thought of using dental floss for that.
Yeah.
Just because it would be about the right width.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that it's already too wide for a lot of the finer belts and that sort of thing, and so I'll have to think about what exactly will work for that. But
Yeah.
the Easy Line may be a little bit thinner than that. I'm not
It
sure.
is,
I haven't.
yeah.
It is.
I have some of that. I'll throw it to you.
Does
You-
dental
Yeah.
floss have wax on it?
It does.
You can
Can you get paint
it
to stick to
without.
wax?
Well, they have
Well,
unwaxed also.
actually, looking at those belts, they are almost white or yellowish white. So
Yes.
there's no need to really paint them that much. You may put some weathering powders on or something on that to look like they've been beat up a little
It's
bit.
fun to come up with ideas right here on the show as
Yeah,
we talk.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have given a little bit of thought to that. So yeah, that's an idea. I'd like to put up a little diorama for that. And then of course I have these Model Ts, which are now scale correct, and little HO figures here that should hopefully give illustration that they're a little bit closer than the original one that I had a couple weeks ago. As
Those
you can see,
cars are
that's more
nice.
of an
Yeah,
S
they look
scale.
really good.
Yeah.
But these are all done off of photos, and then scaled to size based on dimensions that I could find on the internet. And eventually, I want to make a pickup truck and maybe a fire apparatus or truck or whatever they would have been called.
Yeah.
I think they were just
Yeah.
fire trucks back then.
Fire vehicle.
But
Fire wagon.
Fire wagon,
I don't know.
probably.
fire
yeah.
wagon apparatus truck.
Yeah.
Right,
There we
there
go.
you go.
Cover all bases. So, and then there's the beep. So I've been doing some experimentation with the printing process here. This is the original PLA-like resin that I'd used for the original beep, and it got crushed somewhere. Between our several moves as we were getting the house modeled and remodeled, and the kids knocking it off the table, I think something happened and it was in bad condition. So I thought I would try and print it out in this is a bit more of a polyurethane like resin.
Okay.
But what I'm noticing is that it is not bringing out the detail quite in the way that the PLA-like does.
Okay.
Or seems to. And perhaps that's a setting on the printer that I need to adjust, or perhaps it's a resin itself that just is simply not as adept to. And what I'm noticing specifically is in the number board areas and other areas, where you sort of have an overhang, there's a bit more of a droopy overhang blob that forms on the on the polyurethane resin that doesn't seem to form on the PLA.
So at this point, what do you suggest?
I'm probably going to go with PLA or progressively mix PLA in with the polyurethane until it starts to behave itself a little bit more.
What kind of 3D printer are you using to do this?
This is a Photon X,
And that's
they're-
a resin printer. We're
It's
talking
resin.
resins.
It's resin, and since then they've come up with, now they have the Photon M5,
Yes.
which is actually now less than what I paid for my Photon X, and has higher resolution, self-leveling, the whole 9 yards.
You don't have to level the table manually
And
anymore?
you don't have to level the paint print face.
Nice.
And it's laser etched so that theoretically stuff adheres better to the plate than with whatever treatment they'd given it previously. So it's real tempting, but I'll have to sell a few of these in order to justify the cost.
Where did you find that printer?
This one was at G&L Robotics.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've also been experimenting with printing really small detail parts like these horns here. The beep has taller horns than what you find on a typical locomotive, mainly because everything's so compact on the cabin it has to clear that air conditioner,
Very
which is a
cool.
little bit taller than standard. And so the regular detail part that I'd get from Athearn, of the high-mounted horn, doesn't quite fit. And I tried modifying it, with little strips of brass that I tried lengthening cutting it and then
Yeah.
soldering it. That didn't prove to be satisfactorily durable. And so I thought I'd try printing it instead, and that way if it breaks, I can just print another one and be ready to go.
Yep.
But so there's hopefully I'll have it ready for the RPM meet, and it'll be
You should
it'll be
bring
running
your
around.
printer to the RPM meet and print. Are you allowed to bring the chemicals in the convention center? Is that it's not toxic, is it?
I'm not going to bring the printer. That's a
lot of work.
That would be a pain in the butt to move around.
And electric? Okay.
Yeah, and electric.
Jeff told me tonight that he uses 3D printing to create the pre-production prototype frogs that you then have cast in the various metals.
Right, yeah.
In fact, the machine that he uses to create these ties is sort of a reverse 3D printing process. That it starts with the whole piece, and it's a CNC computer-controlled routing.
Okay.
And it has a little router that just goes in and chews up the parts that you don't want. And so it's everywhere, and it's definitely it's definitely the way to go, I think, for a lot of those parts. I mean, looking at this, you know, especially as this thing gets more flexible, you're talking about actual flex track like stuff where you're not having to lay and space the individual ties anymore or worry about all that.
Right.
You just glue the rails down and you're ready to go that much quicker, and it looks that much sharper than whatever you can find elsewhere, which is a neat idea.
I think another thing I would suggest is if you're thinking yourself about diving in and eventually getting a 3D printer, and I'm sure that's going to be a staple, you give it 5 years and we're all going to have one. I've got one down here, in fact, myself, where it's going to be a shop piece of equipment where you don't have to scratch build. We just computer design it, we print it out. But the fact is, if you don't know what type of printer might fit what it is you want to design or you think you want to make, that's a question to put to Greg Summerland at gnlroboticsusa.com. Ask him, call him on the phone. Say, here's my ideas on, I saw James did this. What would you suggest I get? Because he understands, and he's got so many various machines, like you said, now on his website. So I would definitely use him as a source, a go-to source, at least even if you're just thinking about it, what should I get? I mean, I wouldn't buy anything without asking him, I tell you that, because the conversations that we have had and the things that he's doing, I mean, he's working with schools and he's introducing children to this process, and it's become a really big thing. I don't know if it's science class or how that would fall in scholastics, but wow, can you imagine getting a bunch of young, intelligent minds designing things like this?
And then the 3D scanners are just getting more and more advanced
Right.
all the time
And
and
cheaper,
more affordable,
right?
so that you can take that classic car that you'd like to have in your collection on your layout and, scan it, or you can take the 1/20th scale model of it, which they have, pretty much everything modeled at some point in 1/20th scale.
1/18th.
Or 1/18th scale, yes.
Mike has most of those.
Oh yeah,
I have a few.
Mike has pretty much every car that's ever been made in his basement.
So you're saying that
But-
you could scan this model and then shape it down to HO scale?
Yeah, once it's scanned in, the shrinking down is pretty easy. I'd say for best results, you'd probably need a little bit of knowledge about designing it so that you can remove those windows, remove those parts that you
Right.
don't really want to be in the finished product. Like I know with some of the models that are available online now, you have to remove the windows and get those cleared out because it looks much better if you can
Right.
do the Scotch tape trick and make actual clear windows on them than having
Right.
resin windows.
Yeah, that's a good point when you say when you scale something down. Like a lot of these frogs are all built, designed full scale, and we scale them down. So the first frog I ever 3D printed, the flange on each side of the point of the frog was literally a razor blade.
Wow.
Yeah.
'Cause it
So
was scale.
that might work for Proto 87,
Yeah.
but for HO scale, the flange width is wider, so we actually have to widen out those flanges, which we've standardized. But that's just kind of one interesting thing about it's not as easy as it sounds.
Right.
Right.
You kind of got to know how
Well,
to
and-
adjust the design.
And even with these threshing machines, that have these press fit parts, right? If you scale that down to say N scale, if I'm dealing with 0.2 millimeters in HO scale to get that press fit that you don't need glue, but it goes on easy enough that you don't break
Yeah.
it. Suddenly in N scale, you're dealing with much different tolerances for
Yeah,
similar
right.
parts to have them look right. Or if you go up, then suddenly, you're the difference becomes a little bit too much if
Right.
you're dealing with O scale, and it becomes a
Right.
little bit looser and looks a little bit goofy. So there are definitely some areas where you need to.
Yeah, there's lots
Where
of
you need to make those little
idiosyncrasies that you
yeah.
think, oh, and then you look at it, you're like, oh, that doesn't work. I gotta fix
So
it.
I'd say
Yeah.
definitely try and learn that 3D design. There's a bajillion different tutorials out there for programs like Blender to get you moving on it. And Blender is probably the best open source free for the download program out there to do 3D modeling. With all the capabilities that it has, I mean, the modeling that you're going to do on your layout is just pretty finite. But Yeah.
Is this the best hobby in the world or what? And my
Absolutely.
goodness, how things are changing, how things are advancing right before our eyes.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. You know what we're going to do now? We're going to take one of my favorite technologies that I understand, and that's DCC. Have you seen the soundtracks videos that I used to make for soundtracks? I learned a lot about DCC, and that's why I like this NCE system. I'm going to give you the Hammerhead throttle. This is a Pro Cab. This is the one that's set up in the basement to run the layout all the way around with the radio.
Let's do it.
I'm going to take this one. We've got 3 more back here, and let's go run some trains, guys.
Yeah, all right.
Ready? All right.
Yeah.
Wow. 3D printing. I want a resin printer now.
I have a resin printer.
You can make household items.
Yeah.
You can literally make, you can make literally anything.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow. All right, guys, let's do a thumbnail. What do you want to hold up? I know he's holding up a beep. You're probably holding up something beautiful, like one of your turnouts. You know, I still have that turnout you left here. Remember the metal plates, right?
The only bad part is
You're in
this
so
one-
many
The
videos.
only bad part, this one doesn't have the throw bars, but I just
Okay.
grabbed the wrong one.
Everybody smile and look at Richard, and ready, set, and just like that. And we just did 237.
All right.
I can't wait for the RPM meet. I would like to get Greg Summerlin to come here. I think that would be wonderful, or on Skype to further talk about this, because there are folks out there that say, oh, 3D printing, you guys talk about it so much. Well, yeah, because from one week to the next, or 1 month to the next, it changes and it gets better. So let's keep them informed, the cutting edge. Good job, guys.
Okay.
I know, right?
That was fun. Thanks,
All right.
Ken.
Yeah.
Jim, Mike.
All right, keep
Yeah,
camera one
awesome.
rolling.
Yeah. All right.
Don't kill camera two.
This-
and sound.
My dad would love that.
Yeah.
Like literally, he'd see that, he'd be like, "Wait, what?
I know, right?
That's a model?"